Well, interesting. So today, see, you got to be prepared for everything with live, right? So today is interesting. I when I went to go live today, it somehow the event just disappeared and said it's not available anymore. So next thing I know, I'm not actually what the place where I'm supposed to be. So you're probably seeing me just now in a different place. If you are just now signing in, let me know where you're signing in from. I'm going to ask Joanne if you'll please replace the wording from the original posting and put it in here where we are now, so that people will know that we're actually here instead of the other place. So unfortunately, what can I say? Things happen. I don't know exactly why it happened that way, but it did. So we are actually here. We're not in the other place where you expected us to be. But go ahead and let us know where you're signing in from, what city, what state, what country. Let me know where you are in terms of live streaming. Um, Tell me where you in your journey. Have you thought about it? And maybe you just haven't done it yet. Maybe you've already applied and you're just waiting to be approved. Tell me where you are in the stream of things. What I want to do today, my goal is I want to help you get started. Whatever step you're at right now, I want to help you move to the next step. Now, my biggest audience, the one where I connect with the most, is recruiters. So, those of you who are recruiters, whether you're in healthcare or not, this is going to be extremely helpful for you because 2021, I believe, is the years of the recruiter brand. We've been talking about personal brand for a while. Those of us who are recruiters, unless you're a third party recruiter, you probably haven't thought much about having a brand as a recruiter. Okay. But we're noticing, I've been talking to different candidates, and by far the large majority, they want to have a trusted relationship with a recruiter, a person, not with an applicant tracking system or an employer brand, or they want to have a connection with a recruiter. So those of you who are willing to do that and want to do that, this is a great time for you to really optimize, to capitalize, whatever you want to say on the situation, because this is the year where recruiters can really build a brand, and folks are going to just start flocking to them. I'm not actually doing recruiting specifically one on one, and I have people that approach me all the time just because they see me online, they see me doing lives, and that's just how it works. So those of you who are having a hard time getting those hard to fill positions filled, I think you're going to want to pay attention to this trend. This is a trend that's not going away. In fact, I'll just share a couple of stats with you. If you saw my other posting, maybe you would have seen some of these stats, but some of them are, for example, that according to Tech Jury in 2020, online streaming grew by 99% between April 2019 and April 2020. 99%. How many of you are in a category, an industry, a business that grew by 99%? Probably not a whole lot of you. Millennials are the largest group of consumers of live content, but I'm telling you, it's not just millennials. 63% of ages 18 to 34 are watching live streaming content regularly, but I can tell you it's all ages. I've looked at all kind of stats on this thing. It is covering all ages. Everybody's watching live streaming. So, there's tons of ways. Now, we've been watching live streaming for a long time when it comes to sports, right? That is what we expect. When we watch a sporting event, a lot of times we don't really want to watch a replay. We don't want to watch an edited video of the Super Bowl. I mean, once it's over, you don't want to just keep watching unless maybe it was your team won or something like that. But in most cases, we want to watch sports live, right? But there's a lot of other things people are wanting to start to watch live as well. And that is content. They're wanting to watch content live. Now, if you saw also in my posting before, someone who apparently is smarter than me at this game, does a great job. Her name is Shanae Moray. She gave me this advice. She said, even though you're doing lives, you need to do more lives. And her reason was, in order to build that know, like, and trust factor, lives is a much quicker way to get there because people will give you 10 more times the amount of time than on recorded video. So if you're like most organizations, let's say you're a recruiter, or let's say you're just in any kind of business and you're doing recorded videos, those are extremely effective. We know that. And especially if you keep those videos around anywhere from around 30 seconds to around 2 minutes. Some say the sweet spot is around a minute. You can get great amounts of results. But if I use the same factors of that research that Shanae was telling me about, that you can get 10 times more the audience, I'm sorry, the time. If I'm using a 1 minute example, that means that I can get about 10 minutes of someone's time if I'm doing a live. So you get a longer period of time. Another advantage that I'm running into, and this is all very interesting. When I'm talking with a lot of recruiters and I'm helping them with building their recruiter brand, and we're starting to do recorded videos, there's like that uncomfortable feeling where it's kind of uncomfortable just talking to a camera by yourself. And I remember I saw a post earlier today from Stephanie Sanders. She was talking about the same thing, that for her, it's more natural for her to use, let's say, a conversation piece to build her content. And I feel the same way. So if you're the type of person who doesn't want to as much, again, I think it's very effective. Recorded video is very effective. And that's what we still use. We use recorded videos for promoting our jobs for our clients as well. So I'm not saying that's not a good thing. But I'm saying that it's time to look at an added feature, which is the live content, where you can have a natural conversation with the hiring manager, a natural conversation with the nurse or whoever your candidate is. It's hard to fill. Having that natural conversation, taking that and making clips out of it, and then using that for your recruiting is going to be a big thing. And of course, the live event itself will also get a fair amount of views as well. So that's what I want to be talking about. I want to talk about how you can get started. That's what we're going to be going over the next several minutes. And I also want to take a notice of some comments that are already coming in. I appreciate you guys coming in. I see Leon Fresh is here. Thank you, Leon. Appreciate you being here. He says the general population want things in the here and now. There are more consummate learners out there. There are people out there who want the interaction and instant return. Hey, Sarah, and you're right, Leon. Good to see you here. And we also have some others that Joanne is recognizing, like Dana and Ahmed. Appreciate you guys being here. Niha, thank you all. Okay, so let's get into this. Let's talk about some of the things that you'll need to get started. And I'm going to give you kind of three different scenarios, three different categories. I'm going to kind of like make a little fun out of it, you know. So the first one is shoestring. Let's say you just want to get started with your phone. I'm going to show you how to do that. And then let's say you have a little bit of budget you want to spend because you already have been live streaming. You already have a show. You've already done it. So you want to actually kind of step it up a little bit. I'm going to show you some tips on that. And then I'm going to show you maybe a little bit fancier. I'm going to call it the baller. So we got the shoestring, we've got the baller on a budget, and we have the baller. Okay, so I just gave it some little fun names. But we're going to go through that. So think about for the first thing you're going to need, and I'm not going to address this as much here. I've done it on other broadcasts. And if you enter my coaching program, I'll help you walk through this, is the why. What's the why? What's the goal? That's the most important thing. But let's assume you already have that. Let's assume you already have the goal, the why. By the way, if you have a question on that, put it in the comments. If that's something you want to talk about, I will change my presentation. We will talk about the goal and the why and some different scenarios, different ideas we can kick around. But let's just assume for a second, you've already got your topic. You've already got your idea that you want to share with your audience. You already have this thing that you want to give more visibility to. Well, you have that. Then you're going to need software. But guess what? You can actually just use your web browser. You don't actually have to install a program. And I'm going to show you that in just a moment. Okay, then you've got the camera, the lighting, the microphone, and then perhaps if you want to step up, you can do some hardware interfaces that I will show you in just a few moments. Okay. So that's kind of the framework of what I was thinking for today. And I'm just going to quickly look at some of the comments. I saw some more come in. Oh, hi, Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie Watkins Wallace. She says, she's coming in from Memphis. Thank you. Memphis, Tennessee. Community involvement using videos and social media to effectively promoting health awareness on Facebook Live. Very good. And taping to do community outreach for a 22 facility healthcare system, especially during the pandemic. Wonderful. That's awesome. This is how I feel about that. Let me give you this right here. Excellent. Very good. That's a great way to use live. I love it. Any other ideas you have like that? Put them in the comments because we love to hear great and innovative ways to use live streaming. Yes. Hello, Johnny. Good to have you. And we have some others that have come in as well. So thank you for all that. and we're going to keep continuing on with our conversation here. All right, so let's talk about things you can use on a shoestring. Okay, now chances are, if you're watching me right now, you have a device of some sort. So you've got a phone, you've got a tablet, you've got a computer, you've got one of those three. If you have any one of those three, you can actually start streaming. You don't need any other equipment. So if you have a phone, if you have a laptop, if you have an iPad, you can likely stream. There's very few devices that are you're using actively right now that would not have this capability. The reason why is because if you go to a platform like a Restream or a StreamYard, several of them out there, Social Live, you can actually just get right on using your own equipment. Vimeo is another one. And depending on what platform you want to go on, some are more user friendly than others. Um, I my personal investment, more of my time has been in the LinkedIn platform, but that's not the only game in town, as they say, right? There's a Facebook and there's YouTube. Those two are very mature in the live platform, and you talk about flawless in terms of their delivery. It's amazing because they've been working at it so long. It's been a huge investment on their part. So the YouTube and Facebook platform for lives is very, very robust, very mature. So if you're looking for less issues, less mistakes, errors, whatever the case is, those are two very solid platforms. Instagram Live is also another one. If we're talking about just age, I haven't actually tried it recently. I don't know if Periscope, Twitter is still around on Periscope, if it's still there, a thing. But that was one of the early ones. Meerkat, it even came before that. Meerkat came first. Then after Meerkat, Periscope came and obliterated Meerkat. And then, fast forward all these years later, and in 2021, now we're working with Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram. Those are like your more popular ones. So the long story short is you just only need your phone or your computer. Now, what other things will you need? Well, let's say you don't have proper lighting. You're working off a shoestring budget. Okay. You don't have proper lighting. Just get in front of a window. Now, this will help anybody who's on Zoom, who's doing Zooms or Teams or whatever virtual platform you're using. I see this mistake over and over and over again. And it's something I had to learn after a while, is you don't want to put a window behind you. You don't want to necessarily put a window beside you. You want to put the window in front of you. So if you want to get that background just right, make sure your background is facing a window. So let's say if I had, let's say, I don't know, a wall behind me, I would want to make sure that the window is in front of me, just like the picture I have. You want to make sure that the view is where you're looking at the natural source of light. The natural source of light is the best light. So if you're filming during the day, if you're doing your lives during the day, this is optimal. You don't need any lighting. You can just use just your window if it's got a good light source coming through it. So that can help you on a shoestring budget. You just have to make sure you always do your live streams during the daytime. Now, what if you need some lighting at night because you are going to be doing some stuff at night? I've got an option for that. This is just one of many. I'm not pitching, GE specifically. Just here's the main thing you want to look for. I'm just giving you an example how inexpensive this is. You want to look for high definition LED bulbs that are 5,000 K or 5,000 Kelvin and above. It's not really necessary for you to know what the 5,000 K means. Just know that the number needs to be that or higher for whatever you buy. If you really want to know, DM me or something. I can explain it to her. Just Google it. But basically, you want it to be that temperature or higher so that it will look like a white light, like bright natural light, and not like that yellow light that comes from those cheap bulbs that we all buy. When I was growing up, whenever when I first got on my own and I would buy light bulbs, guess which light bulbs I'm going to buy? I'm going to buy the absolute cheapest light bulbs there are because it's not something I thought was important. I didn't think lighting was important. I certainly wouldn't be thinking I'd be live streaming or recording. So I didn't care about that. It wasn't until I actually started doing videos that I learned that the lighting is extremely important and you want to have natural light, which is more of a white, almost like a bluish type of light versus when you buy the cheap bulbs, the absolute lowest price, they're called warm lights and they're yellow. And especially the lighter skin you are, the more yellow it's going to make you look. So it's imperative that you get the white ones. But fortunately, they're not expensive. You can go into any hardware store. In fact, the next time you go to a grocery store, you're going to be able to find probably these same LED lights, right? These are high definition LED lights, 5,000 Kelvin or above. So you can get you a 6-pack right here for $16.99. Who knows? They may have gone on less than that by now. So what you can do is take these bulbs and replace the existing bulbs, whatever room that you're using. Just take those bulbs and replace those with these bulbs. That will automatically improve some of your lighting situation there. So if you want to spend a little money, you can do that. Let me give you another example in terms of lighting. Here's an example of what you can do for lighting if you want to do, just spend us a little bit of money. This is not very much. And I think the prices have actually gone down on these. These look big, but they're not. They're just little tabletop lights. They sit on your tabletop, and you can get them, as you can see here, $40, $30, what have you. And you don't have them, do not have them shining bright on you. That will give you headaches. Just don't do that. Have them where they're shining. Like I've got 2 lights here. Neither one of them are shining on me. They're shining past me. And you want to make sure your light not only gives some light, not just on you, but your background. Make sure your background is lit up nicely. So this is what this particular set of lights can do. Now, also in my case, I do also have some lights that shine on my virtual background behind me. So that way, I'll show you an example here of how much of a difference that makes. So you see here, it looks pretty clear. My back, you don't see like a lot of bleeding of my background and me, right? And that's because I have lighting on the background as well as some on me, but it's just well lit where I am. And that's what makes a big difference. Even your camera, you could buy a really nice camera, and if you have terrible lighting, the picture's not going to look good. So it's good to have not only good lighting on you, but also lighting on your background. Okay, Sarah has a good question. She says, how about ring lights? So to answer your question, I think ring lights are better than no lights, right? So if you do get a ring light, try and get you the LEDs. Try and make sure that they can go up to about 5,000 K or above. That's 5,000 Kelvin or above, if possible. There may be some 3,200 K ones out there. You can use those. But if you're going to be at the ring lights, I would say use a ring light that is 5,000 Kelvin or higher. And here's the thing about ring lights, though. Typically, the ones that I've purchased, they're not really designed to use for a super long period of time, because if you're going to be looking into the camera and you have that ring light there, I know for me, I get a headache if it's too much of a bright light that's right in front of my face for too long of a period. But if you're doing short ones, it's not a big deal. In fact, those who enter my recruiter brand program, the coaching program, I help them get the ring lights too, just to kind of get them started, because it's not like they're going to be on the front of the camera for an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. So hopefully that helps you. I think the ring lights are good. I don't have them pictured here because for not too much more money, you could actually get this. So if you got the space for it, I would probably go with the double lights going on either side of you. This is one I've seen used a lot, and I used to use these myself. The problem with these particular bulbs, this particular setup, is I find that when I'm doing video, these have to be too close to me to make a difference. So I wish I forgot to do this. I wish we had a picture of this, but my first lives that I did when I used to use these particular ones I have on the screen, I had to have them so close to me. It's really funny when you see it from the side. But I just don't like to be that close to my lights. Like this light here and this light here, it's a good like 3.5, 4 feet from me. I don't feel like it's shining in my face. I just like it better. And I'm going to show you an example of that in just a moment. So these are not bad. If you already have them, I'm saying don't throw them away. Go ahead and continue to use them. But here's the thing. It's not like these are that much less expensive than these. And this right here makes all the difference in the world for me. These are the newer. These are 2-pack. So they're LED lights. You can go from 3,200 to 5,600 Kelvin. So it's a good range if you don't need too much light, especially if it's daylight like right now. I might turn it down if I need to. I was just too lazy to do it today. I just kept them at the same amount as they normally are. But you have that flexibility, and you can get them 2 of them for about $160, $150. for two of these. They come with a little case and the stand and everything. So that's one I would suggest for lighting. Okay. So any questions about lighting so far? There's something else I was going to show you guys in here. Yeah. Any other question about lighting? Just let me know. And I'm going to go through a couple of other things as far as equipment is concerned. Some people wonder what camera I use. And I know the big thing is to use is DSLR cameras, and those are good. They work fine, guys. They work fine. Not against the DSLRs. And there's different thoughts on why people like to use them. What I found though, when it comes to photography, DSLRs, bar none, it's the best. But when we're talking about live streaming, and I'm not talking about recorded videos, it's about live streaming, where literally I could be using my camera all day long. Because if I'm in and out of Zoom meetings, if I do a live stream, I'm doing Zoom meetings and all that, I'm going to have my camera on all day long. I don't want to have to worry about issues with recharging my batteries, changing out batteries, things like that. There are some DSLR cameras I do believe that will run off power all day long. So you have to double check on that if you have a DSLR. And not to let me explain jargon. DSLR just explains just a type of camera that you probably see people use, like a Canon camera. It's you hold it this way and it's got the lens in the center, and it may have like a longer lens. And those are what you call the DSLR cameras, just in layman's terms. Then you have the camcorders. Now, if those of you are as old as me, or maybe a little bit younger, maybe a little bit older, who knows? If you remember the old days, you used to have those big old camcorders you'd put on your shoulder back in the 80s. I remember my mom used to have one of those. That thing was huge, man. So they had that big camcorder you'd hold on, and that was a camcorder. That's what I remember. And then they had this little thing here you flip and you put it on your eye, where you could look through it and see what you're looking at. And you'd hold that big thing while you're recording. Well, they're not that big anymore. This Canon I have on the screen here fits in the palm of your hand. In fact, let me show you what one of them looks like. I'm going to show you let's see here. I'm going to show you right now because I'm using it right now. Okay. Watch this. Okay. All right. So you see that camera there? It's just above the monitor. That's what it looks like. And those was lights I was telling you about earlier. Okay. So they're very small. They literally fit in the palm of your hand. Extremely small. I have two of these. They're only $250 a piece. I had two of them. So, but for $500, for the price that most people are paying for one DSLR camera, it's about $500. I've got two camcorders that will run 24 hours a day. I don't need to do any maintenance. I do stick a card in there, but I never use the memory on the card. It just sits on there. I don't use it for its recording abilities. I'm only using it just to do live streaming and Zooms. It's almost like having a high-powered PC camera. That's what I would suggest. Now, again, you can do live streaming with just your phone. You don't need to have this. This just kind of gives it a little bit extra flair, a little bit nicer setup. Okay. Any questions on that? Let me know. In fact, one of the questions we're probably going to have is, how in the world do I hook that up to my computer? Well, that's a good question. So I'm going to answer that in just a second. There's a couple of different ways you can do that. And again, guys, if you have any questions, just pipe in. I'm an open book. I've done close to 200 shows now. So there's not many mistakes that haven't been made. I've made pretty much every mistake you can make when it comes to live streaming. So just let me know. I'm here for you. Okay. All right. So, Sarah's coming to a question. So a laptop camera doesn't work. Yes, a laptop camera absolutely works. In fact, for those of you who are just now coming in, you do not need any of this equipment I'm showing you. You can live stream today with none of this equipment. Okay. Because a laptop has a camera generally, unless it's broken, right? It's going to have an internal microphone, unless it's broken, which I don't think it is, right? You've got a screen, and you've got the ability to load software. In this case, the only software you need to load is an internet browser, which you probably already have on your computer. So I think everybody who's watching this can actually start streaming today, which I'm going to show you towards the end of this broadcast, is exactly how you go online today, okay? And it's actually free. That's the other thing. It's free. All right. So great question, Sarah. The answer is yes. Your laptop camera absolutely will work. You do not need this. That was back in my shoestring section, and now I'm in the baller on the budget section. Okay, now when you buy that nicer camera, or let's say you already have a camera, like for instance, if you already have a DSLR camera or just a regular camera, um, again, don't throw it away. I mean, don't just stop using it. Don't just not use it. You can use it. You just have to have some way of hooking it up to your computer. Now, when you hook it up to your computer, first of all, if your computer has an HDMI connection in it, that's an HDMI connection going out for a monitor. It's not for going in. So you're not going to be able to take your camcorder and stick it in the HDMI, port in your computer. And say, oh, I've got a, an HD camera. No, it doesn't work that way. That's an output. So what you're going to have to do is buy something that will allow you to take that HDMI connection coming from your camera and go into your computer. Now, what I have on the screen is the first thing that I used last year. This is back in March of last year. Oh, I'm sorry, it was January. Sorry, January of last year, before COVID. So January of last year, I bought one of these, okay? It's incredibly useful. I outgrew it though, but it's incredibly useful. It has USB on one end. You stick that in your computer, and then if you see in the screen there, notice there is a hole at the end, and that's an HDMI hole or port where you can stick your HDMI connection in there, and that takes your beautiful DSLR camera, whatever camcorder, wherever you have that has an HDMI out connector, you can plug in there. Voila, you've got a new PC camera that you can do all your Zoom meetings for, your live streams, and all of that. Okay, so this is an option for you. Now, if you want to get a little fancy schmancy, okay, if you want to get a little fancy with this thing, then what you could do is get a second camera, have two cameras, maybe even have more than that. But if you get two, that the other thing I showed you is not going to work, right? You got to have something else. So I went and bought this. Now you can get them. You can get this thing anywhere. eBay, Amazon. I got mine from what's the name of this thing? B&H Music, I think. B&H or something like that. So it's called a switcher, and Blackmagic has nothing to do with magic. That's just the name of the company that made it. But Blackmagic is known for making a lot of cinema equipment. So probably some of the movies you've seen were made by the Blackmagic company. Oh, I say movies. I mean the camera that was used to film the movie. Blackmagic is one of those manufacturers of that. Anyway, they came out with a switcher. And what this will allow you to do is it will allow you to plug in up to 4 cameras to this switcher. I have no reason to have 4 cameras. There's no way I would ever want a 4 camera. I can't think of a reason. Maybe if I go into sports recording or something. But here at my house, I only need two cameras where I can just show different angles if I want to. So I can switch back and forth between these cameras. So I have that, but who knows? Maybe you may want to have a third one, maybe with your mobile phone, possibly. This will switch between all those. Now this does more than just switch. This, you can actually do your virtual backgrounds with this too. So you can actually do a lot of different things with this particular switcher. It's about $300. So, but again, this is still a lot less than what some people spend on one DSLR camera. If you get a nice Canon camera or something like that, it's going to cost you about $600. So if you do the math on this thing, if I buy two of these at $249, let's say $500, and I spend another $300 on this switcher, I'm at $800, which is about the price that somebody would just spend on one camera. And I've got 2 HD live streaming cameras that can literally be on and use 24/7 with no problem. Okay. That is my suggestion on that. Now let's talk about sound. Has anyone ever watched my show or anybody's show where the sound was terrible? By the way, if you've watched my stuff long enough, there's been some times where we've had live streams where the sound was terrible. Okay, it just happens. So if you want great sound, number one, you do not need to buy anything I'm going to show you because your phone has a great microphone on it. Your computer probably has an acceptable microphone on it, and your iPad probably has a pretty good microphone on it. So you don't have to buy this. Just remember though, this is my number one piece of advice on using a built-in camera is always look at the camera when you're speaking, because what happens is most of these built-in microphones have a noise cancellation thing in them. And it's actually for a good reason. It's so that it doesn't pick up a lot of extraneous noise. It doesn't pick up like your air conditioner. It doesn't pick up all these little sounds that you just don't hear normally. You don't notice them in your house or in your wherever you are, office, whatever the case is. Helps block all that out. Helps to block out people who are talking right next to you. Let's say you're at a coffee shop or something and you've got this, you're working with this phone. It's why the phone can block out everybody else's conversation while you're talking. Okay. So it's for a good reason. But when it comes to live streaming or if it comes to a Zoom, this is where it works against you. What happens is anytime you get to the side, or if you're looking up or you're looking down, your sound goes way off and they can't hear, your audience can't hear you as well. So that's why you want to make sure when you are using it. That's why I have a little picture of the lady here. She's looking directly at the camera. Make sure you're always doing that when you're live streaming. Look directly at the camera. Do not try and talk like if you're having to put your head down and get something or read something. Try and make sure when you just pause, get it, then start looking at the camera and talking to the camera that way. It's gonna work out much better for you than trying to talk while you see how it's distracting because you can't hear it. So that's how those microphones work. So make sure you do that. Okay. Oh, hey, good to see you, Catherine. Catherine's here too. She says all great information, Ross. Well, thank you, Catherine. I'm glad it's helpful. All right, so here's what you can do to step up your game. It doesn't cost very much money. It's pretty inexpensive in the grand scheme of things. So that's why I call it baller on a budget. You can improve your sound almost instantaneously by buying what you call a lavalier microphone. Now, let me explain something to you. Whenever you watch these videos, and again, it's totally fine. You don't need to get this, but have you ever watched a video and you hear like this echo? It sounds like there's an echo, like they're talking, but you can just tell it's just you're hearing an echo from the room. And so it's not that it sounds bad; it sounds okay, and it's even in stereo, but it's just not super clear and crisp. That's because they're using the internal microphone of the phone or the whatever the device it is. Now, looking at this I have on the screen, if you use this, you're not going to get that. It's going to pull more from your voice. Now, they are incredibly sensitive. So if you're using a mic like this, if you got some loud noises, it may catch some of that because it's very sensitive. It doesn't have that same noise cancellation feature that you'll be using on your built-in mics. Typically, you want to have the cover, which you can see on the screen there. It comes with a little cover over it. It's a little kind of a wind foam cover. That's going to help with some of the extraneous noise, but it's still going to be noisy. Anytime you move, you're going to hear it go. Anytime you move, if you got like one of these, let's say you have one of these headphones and it's hitting against the microphone, it's going to sound really loud. So make sure you don't have anything metal or anything around it that's going to be hitting that microphone because it's very sensitive and it's going to be very distracting to the people who are listening to you. So just keep that in mind that when you do hook those up, you want to hook it up fairly high where it can catch your voice easily. But make sure you don't have any jewelry that's going to be hitting it. No headphones going to be hitting it. I've also done some live streams where they have these type of headphones that I have on right here, and they use the microphone that's on the headphone. And every time they move like this, it does that, and the microphone sitting on there, and so it's like hitting the microphone back and forth, and you hear that noise, and it can become incredibly distracting. So keep that in mind whenever you're using either the headphones with the built-in mic, or if you're using a device with the mic. Just try and make sure it doesn't, make a lot of noise. And same way with the lavaliers. You can get a single lavalier microphone, about $15. You can get one. Now, the one I have here is a little bit more. You might be able to get it around $30, but I would suggest to get one like this. The reason why is two reasons. You never know, especially post-pandemic, when you're going to want to have to interview someone and they're right there in front of you. So it's good to have that second microphone that you can easily hook on there. And this one here, you can either attach it or unattach the second microphone. Very convenient. I've used it before. The other thing that this has, which I think is incredibly useful, is when you plug this into your phone, if you don't have the headphone mixed in, To listen to what you just recorded, you're going to have to pull it completely out, then press play and listen to what you just recorded. Whereas if you're using one of these, you can leave it plugged in, stick your headphones into the headphone attachment that comes with this microphone, and be able to listen to what you just played. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but it makes it incredibly much more useful if you have the type of lavalier microphone that has the secondary mic as well as a headphone monitoring input. Now you can buy these where the other end can go into an iPhone or it can go into an Android. I prefer the one that just it goes into either iPhone or Android because every iPhone comes with an adapter. So as long as you didn't throw that adapter away, it looks like this. See that? As long as you didn't throw that away, if you still got that, just buy the one for the Android because you never know when you're going to need to have that other connection. I hate to hem myself in a corner and get the one that's only made for the iPhone, even though I have all iPhone products. Plus, I don't know when iPhone's going to change their jacks anyway. All right, let's talk about microphones. By the way, you guys have any more questions? Am I boring you to death with this tech stuff? Because I know it's kind of techy. I did a presentation yesterday for a group, for Sinead's group, and I didn't want to get too technically on purpose. I was like, you know what? I just want to talk about interviewing techniques, goals of the show, all that kind of stuff, and kind of get into the nuances of that and what kind of feeling we want to emit with our show. But today I was like, you know what? I'm going to go a little more tech. By the way, before I go into my next thing, before we wrap up, I have a question for you guys who are watching. If you could, if you could create a memorial to yourself before you die in a city park, what would the memorial be? What would you want that memorial to be about? That's a cool thing. All right. So let's talk about this really quick because we're getting towards the end. By the way, I've got a new program coming out. I just want to mention this briefly. I have a new program coming out. It starts next Friday. And if you want to know how to do exactly what I've learned over these almost 200 live sessions, I talked to this guy, he's going to have me on the show. He's from India. And he's going to have me on the show, Raj, and it's a great conversation. But he says, I'm the only one he knows of in this space that's been on live this many times. He's done some research on it. I had no idea. I didn't know that. I figured. Now, you have other influencers that have obviously done more lives than me, but as far as in terms of in my space in healthcare, he hasn't seen anyone go as live many times. So even though I'm a slow learner, I have learned a few things. So if you want to do my live program, I am going to have Joanne put a link in there for you so you can take a look at that, see if you want to be part of that. It is going to be a program where I'm going to take you through every single step. I'm going to help you work through on your concept, how to build a concept for your live show. I'm going to work with you on things like, what kind of equipment you should use that fits your personality, what you like to do, whether you want it simplistic, if you want to be elaborate, all that. So I'm going to walk you through all that. So if you're interested in that, Joanne's going to put a link in the comments for you so you can look at that. Joanne's going to do that for us. So thank you in advance, Joanne. When it comes to microphones, you may want to actually step up your game a little bit and get a higher quality microphone. Now, the microphone that I'm using right now, it's not that expensive, guys. Now, I see a lot of people, they'll go and get these Shure microphones that cost $400. You can do that if you want, and they sound great. But this particular one that I'm showing you here, it cost me, it's also a Shure microphone, by the way. So it's still the same name brand. And it would cost me $40. And that's the microphone I'm using right now. And of course I bought the cables with it too. Now, if you just buy the microphone, it's not going to fit in your computer. You have to have some type of hardware interface. Now, this is where simplicity comes into play. If I had someone who just does not want to keep it super simple, they don't want to go too, crazy on elaborate on hardware interfaces or the limit on space, then I probably would suggest that $400 Shure microphone because it may alleviate some things. But for me, I prefer to use an interface like this. So I've got a microphone amplifier, which you see on the bottom right-hand corner. In the top left-hand corner, I have a mixer. It's a full-on mixer. If I want to DJ with it, if I want to do a podcast with it, whatever, I can use it for all that. So that's what I chose. I would not suggest that for everybody who's watching this. I would want to talk to you first and kind of see what your background is before I would suggest something like this. Okay, another option is going to be using something like this, where you can. It also has a mixer. You can plug your microphones into it, and this plugs into your computer. So this plugs into my computer. This can plug into your computer too. Another one that's real popular right now, especially if you're going to be in Clubhouse, plus you're going to be doing live streams, is the Rodecaster Pro. This is another example of that. And before I show you guys how to go online right now for free and actually do your first live stream, I'm just going to help you envision why this is so powerful for recruiting, for HR, but it's also powerful for anyone else who wants to extend their brand. Okay, is when you do a live broadcast, like what I'm doing right now, there's going to be a replay at the end. People are going to be able to look and see this live broadcast as if I was live. In fact, if you are watching the replay right now, please put some stuff in the comments. I will actually read your comments. I love watching. I get excited when I see people comment on the replay. I get like a little gleeful, a little happy. I was like, oh, somebody just commented on, and I might be doing something else, and I'll see somebody who goes on the replay and says hi, and I'll try to jump on right quick and answer them back because I love it when people watch the replay. So please, if you're watching the replay, I don't care what time of the day or night, please put a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, so you got the live broadcast, then you got the replay. That's not the real power, though, guys. That's part of the power. And the reason why I say it's part of the power is a smaller amount of your audience is going to watch it versus those who will watch just a clip. Okay, so live broadcasting and replay is awesome. The third one is make clips out of it. So you take little 2-minute or less clips from that broadcast and you put that out there. And actually, I've tried longer clips and they work too. I've done 10-minute clips. Those 10-minute clips can work well. Is also because on LinkedIn you can put up to 10 minutes on a post natively. So think about that as well. Then another thing you can do is whoever your guest is, you can have them do a clip on their post. So you make them a clip, they put it on their post on their profile. That expands your reach. And then if you're doing it right, I got this idea from Shanae Moray. What you can do is take the audio from that video from the live stream. You take the audio, you pull that out of it. You do a little bit of editing of it just to kind of dress it up, make it nice. Maybe put a little intro, maybe put a little exit thing on the end. Maybe you put a little music or something, but you just kind of dress it up a little bit, and then you upload it to a podcasting platform. And then when you upload that podcasting platform, now you have not only a live show, you also have a podcast, which I have, by the way. If you ever want to look it up, just look up Live with Rollis on any kind of, I don't care if it's Spotify, Apple, all of them. My podcast is on there. So you can watch my podcast there. Then another cool thing is you could take the transcript of your conversations and make articles out of it. That's also cool. Then you can also make audiograms. I would explain that at a later date. I don't have time to explain it now, but it's just another form of content. And then you can also do quotes and you make them into photos and you post those out. Yeah. And then, of course, you can also use this for drop-in chat. I've seen some people do their live broadcast and they actually have it simultaneously on a drop-in chat platform like a Clubhouse. So you can do that as well. Okay. So Joanne has just dropped the link for two things. She dropped in the link to, if you want to join my coaching program, it's going to be on Friday afternoons. And I'm going to take you from, as we say, soup to nuts, all the way from the start to the beginning. If you've already started your live cast, I'm going to show you how to make that thing better. I've got a team behind me. They're going to help me show you as well. We've done a lot of things together. In fact, Joanne, I want to thank you. Joanne's helped me a great deal. We got Jonathan Rios. He's not on today. He's helped me a lot. So we got a nice little team that can help. Now, she also dropped in a link for Restream. Okay, so you use that link to go on to Restream now. There's a perk you get. I don't remember what that perk is. I think it's like $10 off. I think it's $10 off if you see, I'm already a member, so it's going to be tough for me to do that. Anyway, go to that Restream right now. There's going to be a free option. Click on the free option. And then create yourself an account. And then you're going to link that up with your YouTube or your Facebook. And if you've already applied for LinkedIn and you've gotten approved, then go ahead and add your LinkedIn channel there as well. This is part of what we do in the coaching program. I'd kind of walk you through this whole thing. But you can actually start streaming today. And if you do stream, I don't care if you stream today or sometime this week, I want you to tag me in that post. After it goes live, tag me in it so I can engage with it. I'd love to see it. And, I want to wish you guys the best. I want to see more folks doing live streaming. I'd love to help you. I'd love to be a part of your journey and help you guys out. So if you want to help, just send me a little DM message, or you can use that link that Joanne just showed you. Be happy to walk you through this. I can't wait. In fact, I got a couple of folks I'm working with now. They're recruiters. I'm going to be helping them build their brand. And my goal is to help them get live too. Because any of these recruiters I'm working with, I want to help train them. So if let's say you've got staff, you're an HR leader, and you have staff, you'd like to get them trained on how to do live streaming. This is another thing you can use for your staff. So you can use me as kind of your training module, if you will, for them. It's going to be a weekly program. We're going to meet weekly on a Zoom privately, this is not going to be LinkedIn Live. So we're going to meet privately on a Zoom on a weekly basis on the Friday afternoons. And we're going to be able to share ideas candidly with each other. We're going to give each other feedback. We're going to almost kind of like a mastermind kind of thing, like what you would have read about in Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, but we're using it for the purpose of live streaming. So we're going to help each other. I'm also going to be bringing in, I have a lot of friends who are in live streaming. They've been very successful in live streaming game. I'm going to bring them in to the conversation, bring them into some of our sessions so you can kind of get some ideas from them, and you can bounce some of your ideas on them, and they can kind of give you an idea of what you're doing right or what you may want to tweak. So I'm going to have that as well in the program. So I look forward to having you guys join me on this journey. I can't wait to get started. We're going to start next week, and let's just do this thing. We're going to be trailblazers together, right? That's what it's all about, because you're a trailblazer. If you're getting in streaming now, this is the early days, guys. This is the early days of live streaming. There's not that, even though live streaming has been out for 7 or 8 years, it hasn't become as mainstream like it has now. And so you can still be on the front end of this thing if you get in, build your own personal brand, get the visibility out to whatever cause you have, get more people involved. This is a great way to do it. And you can help build a sense of community as well. So I look forward to getting with all of you guys soon. And hey, watch us on our next live broadcast. My next live broadcast is on Monday afternoon, Growth Monday. I've got Brian Harmon in. He's all about helping to build high trust leadership. Great guy. This will be a second time on my show. I look forward to having him. I think you're going to love having him. It's going to be from 2 to 3 p.m. on Central Time, Monday. See you then. Have a great weekend, guys. Let me know what you like the most about the program today. Please. Like, comment, share, tag somebody. If you think somebody else should look at this, go ahead and tag them. If you're a HR leader and you got some folks on your team, you want to have them take a look at this, go ahead and tag them in here. But I'd love to help you guys, your HR team, to go live in 2021. Have a great rest of the day, y'all. Oh, appreciate you too. I just saw your comment, Sarah. You're the best as well. Let's do it together.